Breaker Crunchers! It's Saturday night in Phoenix, Arizona, and I think Saturday afternoon in Japan for Travis here.
Sunday morning!
It's Sunday.
Sunday.
Hold on, I forgot to mute my YouTube here.
I can hear it, man.
Yeah. So, we are the Couch Crunchers. Travis here has joined us this evening from Comic Exposure. Corban will be joining us from Absolute Geek in a little while as soon as he gets home. But we have a fun show planned for you today. It's not.
I'm super excited to talk about Scooby-Doo again, guys. We're doing a back-to-back Scooby-Doo. There's so much to this movie that we had to do like a sequel.
As long as you have some Scooby facts. That was like
honestly, guys, I might prefer to talk about Scooby-Doo than this movie.
Yeah,
Dude,
I'll let you introduce it, Lance.
It's not often that we get to talk a movie that completely underscores our expectations like this. Within 30 minutes of this movie, and I will just give you guys a little tease. Within 30 minutes of this movie, I said, dude, it's not over yet? Like, what the hell's going on?
Dude, oh my God.
I had to watch it in 30-minute increments of like the last 4 days.
Dude, it's so long too. It's like 3 hours almost.
I literally started it after the podcast last Saturday. I finished it last night because I had to watch it in like 5 sittings.
I cursed at you guys so much. I was like, God, why?
Well, I did warn you guys. I told you this movie's sorry. I did say it.
Yeah, after I created the artwork, we were kind of locked in. We were locked in at this point. No, next week, I'm hoping that it will be redeemed. Our show will be redeemed because we are going to review The King of Staten Island next week, which I am hearing excellent things about.
I saw that movie. I saw it. Yeah.
You saw it already?
Yeah. After Scooby-Doo and this week's movie, it will be a welcome release.
I'm a big Judd Apatow fan, so I'm looking forward to it. You know, of course, I don't know if Max knows this. Judd Apatow is responsible for Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin, a lot of those comedies through the early or mid 2000s that we all know and love. So, and Pete Davidson's really coming to do his own as kind of a funny guy. I don't know if you guys saw the one with him and MGK. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on Hulu. We'll talk about that more next week, but he's coming into his own, so I'm excited to see that movie. And they're actually showing it in some theaters from what I understand, right, Max?
Not anymore. It's already done. You were right.
Yeah. So we're gonna do another home rental.
Here is something that is in theaters. If you guys do enjoy
Larry.
Fat Cats, yeah, what's up, Larry? If you do live in the Phoenix Valley area and there's a Fat Cats by you, at least the one in Gilbert is showing The Dark Knight, which I was at a time in my life where I was living in Brazil and didn't have the opportunity to see that movie in theaters. And then the original Jurassic Park, which I was so young when it came out that my parents didn't take me to see it. So those are 2 movies that I really like that I didn't get to see in theaters. So I might go check both of those out in theaters at Fat Cats. So if you guys want to see some classics, that's an opportunity to do so.
Did they not take you because how old were you when the movie came out?
Well, when was it? It was like 95 or something like that when the first one came out.
That one at the drive-in in Tempe.
Was this a creationist related decision with religion?
Oh
no!
Like this movie's got dinosaurs in it.
I know his parents pretty well, and I don't think that played into it.
No, it didn't play into it at all. I still follow the religion I grew up in. I'm very devout. It is not. No, it's nothing to do with that.
No, in all actuality,
it was more a matter of my parents have 6 kids and they didn't want to take us all. That's really what it was.
Yeah, no kidding.
Expensive. Yeah.
So I am taking geology at BYU, which is a Mormon educational institute.
Yeah.
University. Thank you, Travis.
The Mormon Educational Institute. Yeah.
And I am taking geology because it's required as per my degree. And they get heavily into the dinosaur thing, and they don't sit there. In some religions, I don't know what their stance is, but be aware, Mormons believe in dinosaurs. So we're not that crazy. But so let's get into our topic. Well, no, let's first talk about, is there anything you guys are watching currently that you want to plug for our listeners? Corban will be here soon. Matt, you know that. He was just with you. So what are you guys watching anything that you kind of want to plug to our listeners?
I think that it's on Netflix and it comes out. They're doing one of the once a week releases that Netflix is want to do from time to time, where they'll release a show once a week. Snowpiercer. If you saw the movie with Chris Evans, I don't know what that was, probably 2014 or something like that, 2015.
Fantastic movie.
It is a good movie.
They're doing a series on it, so I was checking out. It stars Daveed Diggs, who of course got started in Hamilton, and he was in Blind Spotting and a couple of other things. And it's good. It captures that tone. The visuals are great. The budget makes the sets a little bit more limited. Once you get past that first episode, then you kind of get like these stage settings, but it's kind of, without spoiling anything, it's like a prequel to Snowpiercer, because we know how the movie ends, and it's kind of like a murder mystery train story that involves someone from a lower class having to do this kind of noir-esque detective work throughout this train.
This is really interesting because I've been wanting to watch this show. It's on my YouTube TV that I've got. It's a TNT show. I'm wondering
that's why it comes out once a week. Yeah. Okay.
I'm wondering if it's because you're in Japan and you have the Japan Netflix.
It does change. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I remember when Riverdale first came out and it wasn't on Netflix, we were getting them once a week. So you're probably absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, I didn't
know
it was on. I didn't know it was on Netflix. So it's not, right?
I don't think it is in the US.
Not in American. Yeah. We're getting the bootleg Asian version of it.
Well, you get to watch it in English though, right?
There's what it is. It's a guy filming TNT on his camcorder, and then they upload it into Netflix.
Oh,
so it's Netflix a la courtesy of Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So,
I have to ask though, before we move on to anything else, where are you at in your James Bond saga?
Oh, okay. So I did since last week. I did do one this week. I did do the next one, which was another Roger Moore. It was the one after The Spy Who Loved Me. So I went from doing one a day to about one a week. But since I'm on my summer break now, I think I'm going to increase that. But I'm in the real stinker phase. I've heard that the next like three are real tough. Moonraker is what I watched. Yeah, Moonraker.
Okay.
Oh, spoilers. They go into space.
Do they? I don't remember that one.
I'm watching Moonrakers, Snowpiercers.
James Bond goes into space?
Yeah.
Is that for real? I don't think I've seen that one.
I don't know if I've seen that one either.
They go into the Moonraker base. Roger Moore. Yeah.
That's like Vin Diesel when he said the next Fast and Furious was going to be all in space. And I'm like, dude.
Well, Moonraker was released a year after Star Wars first came out.
So they were trying to cash in.
Yeah.
Max, what about you, buddy? What are you watching that you want to plug?
Well, I've mentioned it on the show many times, but The Last Kingdom, I've been rewatching it, and I love that show so freaking much. It is it's fantastic. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. And other than that, I just beat The Last of Us this week for the second time. I decided to replay it. That game is seriously one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had with video games. It is so good, and reliving that, because I think I played it for the first time in like 2016 when I first got my PS4. So I was late to the Last of Us train, but replaying it after 4 years, I had forgotten enough that it was pretty cool to re-experience it and relearn these things that were in the game. And I don't want to spoil it because it's an old game, but it's worth playing still. There's a moment near the end that is just so good. Like, you just went through this horrible ordeal with the two main characters, and then now they're in another city, and there's just like this really peaceful Zen moment, and the music is so good, and you get to see like this 14-year-old girl who's like one of the main characters, and like see her dealing with all of this horror that she's experiencing in the video game, and then you get to kind of see her have this moment of peace and excitement because I mean, that's not a spoiler to say she sees a giraffe like in a city, and like that's so exciting for her that she sees this giraffe, and like she gets to pet it, and it's like such a cool moment that a podcast I listen to called Podcast Beyond, their IGN's PlayStation podcast, they do a segment every now and again called That One Thing, where listeners will write in and talk about that one thing that they really like in video games that really got to them. And as I watched that, I was like, I have to write in. So I did write into them. I don't know if they'll actually read it on their show, but like
traitor,
because I like PlayStation.
If you're gonna write something, it better be on couchcrunchers.com, you bastard.
I didn't write an article. I sent them an email just saying, "Hey, I love this."
Oh man, I'm just kidding.
I was thinking about writing a full article on it, though.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I might.
No better time to do it than now. In fact, Travis has some pretty good articles on our website as well.
Yeah, I was trying to start one the other day. What was I working on for you guys? But yeah, I'm having a hard time finding the voice to some of these things. It's so hard to write the nonfiction these days.
Yeah,
like everything is so much stranger than fiction these days that it's hard to kind of sit and write about pop culture. So it's tough.
So I have about 13 drafts on our website of stuff that I've started and then just I went solo. Listen to this. One of my drafts, I went solo, and it's titled "Don't Make Fun of My Obsession of Judge Judy."
You gotta release it, dude.
Yeah.
I want that out in the wild.
It's the best drama on television.
Well, what have you been watching, Lance?
So I watched a couple things. So I binged the newest season of F is for Family in one day. This is a new cartoon, adult cartoon, not pornography, adult-oriented cartoon on Netflix that stars Bill Burr, Sam Rockwell, Laura Dern, a bunch of other people. And it is, in my opinion, it's by far funnier than any of the other cartoons that are aimed at adults right now. It's funnier than Bob's Burgers. It's funnier than Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, I don't understand, like, in the least. But F is for Family is fantastic. And I just watched
Better than Big Mouth?
Big Mouth, I haven't watched that yet because I turned it on and my kids were in the room and I immediately had to shut it off.
Man, they gotta learn. They gotta learn at some point.
Oh, dude, it's more than a 6-year-old should learn at this point. It'll come for him.
Yeah.
But that show, I do need to watch that show because I heard good things about it. But F is for Family. Bill Burr is just one of my favorite comedians ever, and it's definitely his brand of comedy because he was a co-creator or something like that of the show, and he writes on the show and everything. And it's set in the 70s when you had, all these ex-veterans from the Korean War, but then you also had the hippie movement and stuff like that. So it's this guy trying to deal in his ultra conservative life, trying to deal with the new world that's happening around him. So it's very good. I mean, one of the episodes this season, I guess in whatever state they're in, they have something called aldermans, which is some sort of political, I don't know I've never heard that phrase before, but it's some sort of political stature, like under mayor or something like that. And the whole episode was devoted to one of the main character's friends, who is a black individual, becoming the first black alderman of this district or whatever in New York or something like that. And it was a fantastic episode. In fact, I tweeted Bill Burr and I said, because the whole episode seemed almost like a pilot for a new spin-off series, and I asked him if it was gonna be a pilot. So, but the other thing I'm watching that's not very good is Space Force.
Dude, it's bad. I watched the first episode and did not like it.
So I'm watching it because once I start something, I'm going to be a trooper. I'm going to finish it. So I'm on episode 5. There are moments where Steve Carell can be slightly humorous. John Malkovich so far and Ben Schwartz are both them are my favorite characters on the show. Mm-hmm. But Steve Carell, he's doing some weird thing with his voice. Did you notice that, Max?
Oh yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Almost like he gargled rocks for an hour. Like that's the voice that a military professional would have, and he's doing it throughout the whole series, and it just gets under my skin. There are some humorous moments, but for the amount of hype that Netflix attached to the show, not deserving whatsoever.
It was really sad because it's got a great lineup of actors, and I mean Steve Carell alone, I was excited, but what he does this just drives me crazy. I don't like it.
If you want to see a good television return of Steve Carell, if you're looking for something that's, you know, funny and stuff like that, The Morning Show is a far better show on Apple TV. I would recommend that to everybody, but Space Force is kind of a dud. And then my wife is watching Outer Banks on Netflix, and she likes that one a lot too. So,
well, you started Space Force, didn't you, Travis? Did you end up keeping it?
I finished it. Yeah.
Does it get
I
better?
don't think. I don't think so. I think it maintains that tone throughout, and it's pretty bubblegummy. I mean, like if it's, you know, there's like really like set piece jokes, and I think there's a couple of set piece jokes that are in each episode that for me were worth the watch. But there is a lot of in between. Like in the second episode, they have the monkey and the dog in space, and they're dealing with that lance. You know? Yeah, and I like that set piece is funny. I also like the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the military. They're dynamic when they show up on screen. So there are a couple of funny jokey set pieces in there, but there's some filler to it. But again, it's a half an hour show, and there's like 10 episodes, so it's
not a lot of time.
It's not a huge commitment.
Yeah, I mean, waiting for the show to start, between my homework, I watched 3 episodes or something like that, like real quick in succession of each other, and it's not a hard watch. It's not as bad as the movie we're going to talk about tonight.
I was going to say, you can watch the whole Space Force in just 2 hours more than this movie is that we're going to talk about. And you'll have
Space
a much
Force
more enjoyable
Space Force is better than this movie we're going to talk about. That's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Space Force was bad. I might have used that word, but I don't know that it's bad. It's just not really good.
It didn't live up to its
reminiscent. Its humor is reminiscent of like 15 years ago, when kind of like that 40-year-old virgin, and it's kind of got some Judd Apatow stuff in it, but a little more slapsticky than Judd Apatow. Yeah. But it reminds me of something that would have felt more at home 15, 20 years ago in the early 2000s than now.
Well, what's a shame. So apparently, from what I saw from the credits, Steve Carell and Greg Daniels from The Office created this together, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Greg Daniels also created Upload, which is a show Max and I really like from Prime.
Great show.
Upload is by far a superior show to Space Force, but it did not get the fanfare that Space Force got. And I don't know if Space Force is because it's kind of every episode's kind of teasing Donald Trump a little bit. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, because the whole idea of Space Force was something that Donald Trump, boots on the moon or whatever.
Yeah, and they're absolutely making fun of that, and that's fine. I don't mind some political satire. Like, I think they had basically an why do I forget her name? Ocasio-Cortez, the senator. Like in the first episode, they had like a senator like her, and they were making fun of her, and they were making fun of Trump. Like, I don't mind political satire. Some of the jokes were funny. I just found the show as a whole not to be that.
There was a moment in the last episode I was laughing my butt off. They were doing a congressional hearing where Steve Carell had to go before Congress or whoever it was and ask for to maintain his budget and increase it, right? Mm-hmm. Because they were talking about the Space Force going back into the Navy and being part of the Navy. And one of the senators, Steve Carell's like, yeah, we want $150 billion or whatever it was. And the senator goes, "Yep, I see no problem with that, just as long as you prove the earth is flat," or something to that extent.
Yeah.
And he's going on about all this Christian stuff, and he's like, "Yep, just the way God made it, nice, flat, and rectangle." I was laughing my butt off on this scene. It's hilarious. But there's some heartfelt moments. It's just not the humor that I was expecting. I was expecting The Office. When they were touting this as the return to comedy for Steve Carell, and it had all these other people involved with The Office in here, I was expecting something with the humor consistent of The Office, and it doesn't live up to The Office whatsoever. I think they missed the boat by not doing this as a workplace type comedy, with the side interviews like The Office had and everything like that. It's ripe for it.
That could have been funnier, actually.
The topic,
documentary style. Yeah.
It's ripe for it, like a documentary style in the military, which I'm surprised they haven't made that show yet. Honestly, to tell you the truth, with the success of The Office and Parks and Rec, the military should be
and Modern Family too. Huge.
Yeah, MASH, like a MASH show, MASH and The Office mixed together, I think would be hilarious.
MASH in The Office.
Nash in The Office. I don't know what Nash is.
He's saying MASH in The Office.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. See, Travis is bright.
It's a mashup.
You know what? I forget that we're on video because I use something like that's not going to work on a podcast. Just me moving my hands around like this.
Mama mash.
So for the listeners on Monday.
Anyways, it was a dumb pun.
So I mean that's pretty much it. We're running out of things here to watch, man. I really need HBO Max to kind of come out with some of their original programming. There's a couple shows that I'm excited about for them.
Well, Matt says he's been watching Love Life and he's been liking that, I guess.
Yeah,
that's on HBO Max.
Yeah, the only problem with HBO Max is they haven't put it on Roku or Amazon Fire Stick yet. So I can only watch it on one TV in my house.
Yeah.
Do you think they're saving some shows that were supposed to be released, but they've extended it out because stuff is not in production now? We're still watching the stuff that was slated to come out that was already in the can. Yeah. But like in 3 months from now, or like 6 months from now, when the stuff that they were supposed to be finishing in production isn't ready, I feel like that's when we're really going to see like a mid-year a drought on the stuff that's coming out. I wonder if they're pulling back on some of their heavy hitting shows because
a lot of shows were supposed to have their, like Supernatural was supposed to have its series finale right now, and we're still waiting on 5 episodes. Then
The Walking Dead doesn't have its season finale. Yeah. They've done everything but the last episode. Yeah, we're already seeing it, but I agree, Travis. I think we have a lot of shows that like we're probably going to come out in 2021 that we're not going to see now. Like I think 2021 is going to be extremely dry for TV content and movies.
Movies. They pushed Matrix to 2022.
Well, movies actually won't be as bad because a lot of movies that were supposed to come out this year are going to come out next year now. But I think TV shows, because generally, you film them in like 1 year, they release the next year. Not every TV show's like that, but a lot of them seem to be like that. And nothing's filming right now, so. Like I know The Witcher on Netflix, they started filming again. They just got permission to start filming again. But most shows have been off for 4 months now, and some of them are going to continue to be off. So you're totally right, Travis. Coming down the line, it's going to be real sparse. And I do think we probably have some studios that are releasing stuff later than they would have in order to have something out there.
Yeah, maybe doing something with animation maybe more animation coming out, because I think there is some workarounds with animation.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the other one I was watching is Central Park on Apple TV. It's another animated thing, and it's kind of like it's Bob's Burger meets kind of a musical type thing with Josh Gad and stuff. That one's really funny too. But I think you're right. We're going to start seeing more animation stuff. Mystic or Mythic's Quest on Apple TV. They came out with a surprise episode that was all done on Zoom, and it's hysterical. Have either of you watched that show?
No.
Yeah. Max, I gave Max my Apple TV login about 6 weeks ago, and I don't know if he's even gone on there to watch anything.
He's a busy man.
Scoob. I watched Scoob.
Yeah.
I know, dude. I'm getting ready for a baby to come. I got other crap on my mind.
So am I.
And I and I got video games.
My baby's coming before your baby.
That's true.
So many babies.
And I moved into a new house, so I win on that front.
Oh, it's going to be a baby-filled episode, especially when we start talking about our second movie later. B-A-B-Y, baby.
Well, let's get in. It doesn't look. I was trying to stall for Corban to get here, and he's still not here. So we're going to move into our next subject, which is our main event. The movie that we are going to be talking about is The Last Days of the American Crime, and we're going to be comparing this to apparently Baby Drive because Max typed too quickly on the.
I'll fix that. Hey, you said The Last Days of the American Crime. There's no the.
No, it's the last days of the American Crime.
False. Fake news.
I think so. False. I think it's false as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're all going to forget about it in a week. So
see, is what we call a definite article, meaning it's a specific article that we use in front of a thing. And we're not talking about the last days of the American Crime. We're talking about the last days of American crime in general.
Yeah, so which brings me to an issue that I have. I just looked it up, Max. You don't need to show it to our viewers.
I like to call this movie The Last Days of American
You know
Film.
what? No one's going to care because we are going to stop anybody from watching this movie because it is awful. For the first time ever, I felt like Netflix owed me a month of my monthly premium back.
I felt like you guys owed me a month of my premium back.
Dude, it's bad. It is so bad.
So, The Last Days of American Crime, the premise is that all America is going to abolish all crime because they're installing these towers that emit some kind of radio frequency to stop people from doing crime. However, as we find out through the movie, this works intermittently because some people are able to do crime and some others, and it has so many holes in it that it's impossible to follow. For instance, like people are able to shoot people, but other people during that same time are not able to shoot them back. Like it just the whole thing makes no sense. It's convoluted. It's way too long. The acting is kind of, I don't know who Lace is, but
Matt from Absolute Geek commented, I felt like Lance owed me my HBO login back.
Isn't HBO Go? I haven't logged in forever. I don't. It's not a thing anymore.
You have it now.
Yeah, but the story is just hard to follow. The acting is less than good.
Well, it's interesting because they pulled. This is a graphic novel. Rick Remender, who is actually a really great comic book writer. He's done like Black Science and Low and Uncanny X-Force, and so he's got quite a pedigree and reputation in comics. He had a great Captain America run. I never read this particular graphic novel, but I know his voice, and I'm like, okay, I think his stuff can translate well to film. So I can't say how well this fits into the plot of the story. And comic book stories tend to be a little bit more convoluted because they can be. But yeah, you're right. This was no good, and for all the reasons that you said, the length, the acting was uncharming and charismatic. It was stylized, but not in a way that works. It was like someone. It's real down the middle as far as a crime. It's like what you think a crime movie should look like. And so we're going to give it to you, but we don't deliver anything new. And the stuff that we are delivering, it's not even top quality action or acting or charm or style or any of that stuff. This was a slog.
Yeah.
Dude. So I wrote down notes. I had exactly 3 positive things to say about this movie. One, and this is like stretching, there were some cool explosions. I do think that the world was interesting. I just think the movie did a horrible job of explaining that. So I imagine that the graphic novel that this is based on is probably good because this is an interesting concept.
The premise is great. Yeah, I like the premise a lot.
Yeah, premise is cool. And then the last thing I liked, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but Charlton Copley, the cop, he's also in District 9.
Chappie. What is it?
Chappie. Yeah, he's in Chappie, and the other one I can't remember. Not Eclipse. I don't know. Anyways, he's in like 3 of those movies made by the same director, but he's the main character in District 9. I like that actor, and I think he actually did a good job. He just wasn't in the show very much.
I forgot he was in the movie.
He wasn't in it much.
Anytime he came back on screen, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I saw him 10 minutes ago. You know what I mean?
His character made no sense. But when his
Right.
character was on screen, I was interested in watching because I like him. Those are the only things that I had positive to say. Besides that, dude, go ahead, Travis.
No, I agree. There's positive. I agree with the premise, and as far as one of the things that I thought was positive, I'm a huge Michael Pitt fan. We call ourselves Pitt Stains fans of Michael Pitt. I think he's great in Dreamers and Boardwalk Empire, and I think his character. I think he does. No, I don't even know. I don't know if it's an okay job or just in comparison to how everyone else is. He's the one that I felt was in The Cop as well, as you mentioned, Max. But he was the one I thought was interesting to watch. So I would say that character was interesting to me.
Michael Pitt's the greasy-haired guy?
Yeah.
I hated him. Oh, my gosh. He was unbearable. He was insufferable.
The spoiled kid that shoots his dad.
Yeah.
Oh, he was awful. I hated him.
Oh, Cash, yeah. He was. If you look at the 3 main casts, so Brick, Dupree, and Cash, right? Cash was the most entertaining. Like often when he opened his mouth, you could chuckle slightly, but he kind of seemed like a lot of pieces of this movie seemed to be ripped off from the first John Wick, right? So John Wick goes after that kid that steals his car. That's what Kevin Cash reminded me of, was a watered down version of this whole entire movie reminds me of a watered down version of John Wick. But that Kevin Cash kid reminded me of the kid from the first John Wick that shoots the guy's dog and steals his car, John Wick's car. Like it almost like
the spoiled son of the crime guy.
Yeah, it was almost a direct ripoff. Except they tried to make this guy more of a substantial character, but it just wasn't done well. And Edgar Ramirez has been in some other projects that I actually liked, and I was surprised to see, him take a role like this because he's been in a lot of things.
I'm surprised any actor took a role because usually you read the script beforehand, and the script was a big part of the problem. Holy crap. The writing, the dialogue was so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just surprised that any actor was willing to do this. Like, it was it wasn't even bad. It wasn't even Star Wars prequel bad. It was worse than that. It was,
Yeah, I think there's a way to do a stylized action movie like this with the dialogue being very stilted like that. You have to lean into that genre aspect. Even Baby Driver, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, is the dialogue on that. If you look at Jamie Foxx's dialogue on the page, that doesn't really pop. It's kind of corny and cheesy. But in the way they approached it, as far as like, here's the tone we want this movie to be. We want it to be kind of hyper poppy and reminiscent. When the guy's like, "Tell her baby's coming," you're like, "Tell her baby's coming." Like if that on the page, that sounds corny, but because it fits the tone of the movie. Here, the dialogue was bad. Like it was that kind of like more cheesy, more genre-based dialogue, but the rest of the movie around it wasn't excusing that or leaning into that. So those lines came across as like the actors were trying to deliver them just like realistic, and it came across as just not like fun, hokey, but just flat.
Yeah, almost like
uninspired.
Dad tells a joke. Like just kind of like, okay, am I supposed to chuckle right now? Like you don't.
And then he gives you that nudge. He's like, right? Am I right? Am I right? And you need that. Am I right? For it to for that joke to laugh at. Yeah.
Let me say one right now that everybody will understand what I'm talking about. My dad, for the last 25 to 30 years of my life, has said the same joke anytime we talk about juice, right? Like fruit juice, and he always says, "I love guava juice." I don't really like guava juice, but I just like saying guava juice. Same joke. He probably says it 60 times a year. for the last 30 years. He says this. Every time we look at him like, you're an idiot. Like, why do you keep saying this? Since I was 5 years old, and it's never made me laugh.
Hey, Lancey, let's go to the store and get some guava juice. Am I right, boy?
Like, I'm like, Dad, what? Like, why do you keep saying? And he's almost doing it to this point now that he knows that it's like an eye roller, right? So now he's just doing it for the eye rolling. This movie was filled with so many moments of eye rolling. For instance, when in the beginning of the movie, he's talking about going and get the diesel gasoline. I was like, oh, this movie has something to do with gasoline, right? I'm thinking there's a shortage of gasoline or something like that. And he goes into detail about why he gets diesel gasoline. Well, it turns out gasoline is fine. It's everywhere right now. There's not a shortage of it. So that would made no sense. Then he's dousing this guy in gasoline. And he says he puts a lit cigar in this guy's mouth, right? And the whole time I'm thinking, and he walks away. And the whole time I'm thinking about the guy. I'm like, spit the cigar across the room. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Well, there's a have you guys Paul Verhoeven? He did like RoboCop and Starship Troopers. Those are like Starship Troopers. You know, they're both satires, right? You know, RoboCop's a satire. Starship Troopers is a satire. And Starship Troopers, I don't know how you guys feel about this movie. It's not a fantastic movie, but I enjoy it, even though the dialogue is super corny and cheesy dad joke. Even RoboCop on the page, that dialogue is really cheesy. But Verhoeven brings so much authenticity to it, and it leans into that, as we were talking about, that this doesn't do. And so when you get to those moments of like, go get the diesel, you're like, all right, okay, he's gonna douse someone with diesel, and it just kind of you don't feel it, you don't those moments of menace and dread don't really pay off the way I think they want them to.
Yeah, and then second, like, why was he going around killing he's in a room with like 10 dead bodies in it or whatever, and it doesn't really explain, like, did he kill all those people because they had something to do with killing his brother? Did they but he thought his brother's death was a suicide? Like, why is he going around killing people, right? Why is he killing this guy? It made no sense to start a movie. Like, I understand they were trying to do it to create who the character is, right? To give you a slight backstory on the mind of this character, but it doesn't do any of that. All you walk away from is, this guy's a psychopath and he's not even that good at it, right?
Yeah.
Max, do you think I was gonna ask you a question, Max? Do you think that this movie do you think a lot of this could be fixed if we took this almost 3-hour movie and made it an hour and 20 minutes, and they had to make cuts in the plot? Would that fix it for either of you guys?
I think it would make it a little better.
It would fix the pacing, because pacing is something I had an issue with.
Yeah, it'd make it a little better, but the dialogue, the acting, and even just the story in general were big issues. So I think if they had leaned into it better, it could have been good. Like you said, Baby Driver has some silly stuff, but they lean into it. We use Fast and Furious as an example all the time, but it's a good example. They know they're dumb, and they lean into that. And I love the Fast and Furious movies. I eat them up. They're meant to be dumb, and they are. Well, this was dumb and was trying to be serious.
Here's the thing with
it's bad.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing with Fast and Furious and Baby Driver, though. It's dumb, but it's trying to instill some sort of heart into the movie, right? Fast and the Furious is all based on family and doing anything for your family. So there's an emotional tie in there. Baby Driver is, you instantly love the character, the main character, Baby, who obviously is taking care of a deaf person that he lives with. He has so much heart. He's doing this because he owes the guy's money. There's an emotional attachment. You want to see this kid come out on top because you see that he's a good soul, right?
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
And he has ailments too, right? So you're attracted to his ailments. It seems him like a much more sympathetic person, because he has this tendonitis or whatever in his ears, and he loses his parents, and there's an emotional attachment. Where's the emotional attachment in the last days of American Crime? There is none.
Yeah.
Right?
They try to make it with the sister, the little sister. Is that what they tried to? But it doesn't
falls flat. Falls really flat. So let's compare and contrast how these two characters are introduced, right? So you just talk about how Brick in The Last Days of American Crime is introduced, dumping diesel oil on somebody, and you see that he's just like this psychopath. And I walked away from that opening scene thinking, oh, this is the villain. When are we going to get introduced to the protagonist? No, he was the protagonist. He's not a protagonist. He was a horrible human being. And they show you that at the onset. Whereas you got Baby Driver, which I'm going to just right now go ahead and say I apologize for everything bad I've said about that movie ever. Because the first time I watched it, I didn't dislike it, but I did not like it that much. I was like, it's just fine. I was wrong, okay? I admit it. I openly admit it.
I knew you were wrong.
It's a great movie.
5 years that you were wrong, or whatever it came out.
It's great. And here's where I noticed that, because I think the problem is that the first time I watched it at like 1 a.m. so I was tired, and you had hyped it up as like the greatest thing in cinema to ever happen, and so it wasn't that, and so like I think I went into it wrong. Anyway, last night I started it, or 2 nights ago or whatever, and it starts immediately off with Baby singing a song in his car while he's about to do a robbery. It is so heartwarming and fun and like endearing that it's just a stark contrast between the two. One guy's dumping diesel fuel on somebody. The other guy he's also a bad person in the fact that he's robbing a bank, but he's singing a song and having a grand old time doing it. He's such a lovable character, and that is to me such a big difference between these two movies.
And I think there's something to be said about that, right? Because they start the movie showing Brick as this awful person, and eventually they want you to start rooting for this guy, right?
Yeah.
He's blowing things up. It never gives you he never saves anybody really except the girl, because basically he wants to have sex with her. That's the whole reason why. And then he dies at the end in the semi-truck, and not a tear is shed, I'm sure, by anybody that saw this movie, if they got that far. There is no reason to feel his death in any capacity.
Okay.
He hasn't earned it.
And can we talk about that for a moment? He's driving a semi-truck. He's alive. He stops it, and then he's dead.
It reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Marlene Cottard, or whatever her name is.
Well, so there's that. And then the other thing is, we freaking get into he's in the semi-truck. He's been shot in the stomach by what appeared to be a shotgun, first of all. And then he gets the girl, and the first thing that happens, even though he has a gunshot wound, is they make out for a little bit. So they're running away from the cops.
Yeah.
He's bleeding out. And the first thing that happens is she kisses him for like 5 to 10 seconds.
I love bloody kisses in action movies. I love it when there's covered with blood. Did you ever think about that? Like it's always at the end of the movie where the protagonist and the love interest
sure, I think you see it.
And they're always covered in blood. I'm like, oh, it's so irony. It tastes like pennies.
Yeah. And
I'm like, in a COVID world, that's very unsanitary. Even in like 80s world, when AIDS came around, like every time I'm like, ugh. Well, and these people are not like the most hygienic. They're in crime. This guy has definitely slept with strippers and hookers, and they're just gonna I don't like it.
She appeared as a hooker in the beginning of the movie where they met, right?
Yeah.
She comes into the bar and they immediately go to the bathroom and bone. It's like, you don't know who she is. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that was pretty gross.
For me, she was so undynamic as the female lead. Her presence in it, like they made her look badass in certain shots. Everyone's sweaty in this movie. Everyone's just like sweaty, like hair. It's got like the greasy. Criminals always have greasy bangs that fall down on their face, and everyone's sweating. And so she had some good looks in the movie. But as she wasn't quite a femme fatale, and she didn't have the heart, and I think we've used this word a lot to describe this movie, but just flat. Yeah.
So I'm going to throw up a comment from Corban here, and I'm going to read it since he is still planning to be on the show. We're going to get his opinion since he seems to be listening in his car or something while he's being driven. He's not driving and texting all this, just so we're clear. So Corban says,
looks like he might be driving and thesaurusing based on some of the
I know, right?
vocabulary he's using
Yeah,
here.
This
Clearly-
is just a gentleman that works at a library. So
yeah, Corban is a very well-spoken man. So he says, it tried to add a sense of grounding that honestly wasn't there. It was unconvincing in trying to engage me. I'm going to kind of reword what he said there. In trying to engage me, especially when juxtaposed with the acting and heart in Baby Driver. Totally agree with you, Corban. It is, in contrast to Baby Driver, it is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And go ahead.
It's not apples to apples here. Baby Driver is going for a certain tone. This reminds me of something like a Natural Born Killers, like a movie that's just going to be like, we're going to be hyper violent and dark and trying to be gritty. But
You're right.
they're throwing, they substitute that for story and pacing and performance. And I'm not saying Natural Born Killers is a great movie, but there is a genre for these ultra violent crime movies. I don't think Baby Driver is an ultra violent crime movie.
No.
It's more of like a fun heist movie with a bit of an edge, a little bit of an edge to it. And so I think there is an audience for movies like The Last Days of American Crime. And I would be interested I don't know if any of us are really into that genre. I enjoy an ultra violent kind of no heart movie. It's bang bang shoot 'em up movie. Okay, it's not one of my favorite genres. I wonder how someone who really gets absorbed in those type of movies, like a Purge or Natural Born Killers type thing, or with Taxi.
The Expendables, a movie Mac and I both like, right?
Yeah,
that's fine.
And it has no heart. It's a bang bang shoot 'em up. Like that's essentially what it is. It's almost goofy and comical to a degree, but they did it better than this movie. And it seems like almost they're attracting the same audience.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I agree. I have nothing wrong with like a super gritty action movie. This just executed it so poorly. And I don't know how much longer before Corban's here, but I'm good to shift my thoughts more towards Baby Driver if you guys are.
Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to this and make comparisons between it. But I don't like to sit and just talk junk about a movie. But I also do want to say I had a really hard time finding anything enjoyable about this movie. And normally I can do that. Normally I can be like, oh, I really like this. And I just stopped paying attention once the third act hit. When they were like in like a warehouse and they're doing that, I was just like, so yeah. I mean, if you're really bored and you have to really, really love this genre and just love violence for the sake of violence, and maybe you might be able to squeeze out a few minutes of enjoyment because there's a cool car chase where they're shooting shotguns at some pretty cool cars. And there's bathroom sex, if you like that.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Some kid shoots his dad. Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
So the car chases weren't even that good. I don't know if you guys saw when they're running away from, I think they're in a Jeep or something. I don't even remember. I wasn't paying attention. But they elude these two cars because the two cars clip each other, right? Head on. Mm-hmm. It shows an overhead shot of that car driving into the other car, but that the angles they're going, they would have missed each other. Next thing you know, it switches it switches the viewpoint and they clip each other, right? They didn't even edit it well. It's almost as if they just said, this movie sucks. Netflix wants to pay us for something because they need content. Let's just not. It's like they didn't care.
It's been in the top 10 on Netflix for like a week or two.
It's the top 3. It's the third most watched movie on Netflix.
And I feel like the reason is because it keeps showing in the top, and people are like, "Oh, so I'll watch it since it's in the top 10 list."
Yeah, watch Extraction instead if you want violence, please.
Watch Extraction. That's a great movie.
Well, and this is why. Yeah, this is why I recommended it, because Netflix kept shoving it down my throat that I thought it was a good movie. It's the same with Space Force, right?
Yeah.
They kept shoving it down my throat, and we're so desperate to find content to review right now because of everything that's going on with quarantine that I thought it was going to be at least decent, and it wasn't even that.
I love how you're talking about shoving stuff down your throat as you're literally eating food and shoving stuff down your throat. Shame on you, Netflix. Shame on you. You know better. And you know what? There is a little bit of distrust now, Netflix. I'm not going to lie. There's a little distrust. I don't know if I can, when you pop up like trending now, I don't know if I can believe that.
Yeah,
Right?
I need to see that algorithm, Netflix. I need to see that algorithm.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm not. Yeah, it's bad. What
should we shuffle our iPods, put our earbuds in and talk a little Baby Driver?
Yeah. So, and this honestly, so as it was my idea that we do a second movie, and I'm not usually into 2 movies because I just don't want to usually watch 2 a week. It takes a lot of time. But because this was so bad, when I got 30 minutes in, I texted Lance. I'm like, dude, we got to watch something that we like so that we can have something.
Cleanser.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be a podcast that just like craps on stuff. And last week we were pretty negative about Scoob, and this week I was like, crap, that means we're just gonna have 2 weeks in a row where we're super negative. So that's why I was like, let's watch something else to compare it to that like we know we somewhat like at least a little. And so yeah, let's talk about Baby Driver, because I gotta say my opinion changed. I mean, I think when I watched it before, I thought it was a 3 out of 5, and that score has definitely gone up. It's so full of heart.
So, and I have an opinion when it comes to Baby. So as Max knows, I'm not sure if Travis knows, Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors of all time. He did the Cornetto trilogy. He did Scott Pilgrim. He did Baby Driver. But I don't know if either of you, Travis might know, I'm not sure Max, but he was originally penning the script for Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man that came out with Paul Rudd. This movie, Baby Driver, came out 2 years after Ant-Man. I would not be surprised if when Edgar Wright walked away from Ant-Man, if a lot of the story that he was going to use for Ant-Man made its way into Baby Driver, because there's a lot of similarities between these 2 movies. If you look at it, he's doing a crime. Baby Driver's doing crime when he doesn't really want to do crime, and he's trying to have a clean life and get away from this life. Ant-Man's kind of doing the same thing, right? And it has sometimes a similar humor, not as what's the word I'm looking for? Not so on the nose, like Ant-Man's kind of on the nose with the humor, right? Some of the jokes that they tell and everything, but you could see the similarities between the 2. Do you guys agree?
A little.
It's been so while since I've seen Ant-Man. I'm sure maybe some stuff got recycled, but I think we're forgetting some of the major plot points of Ant-Man, which includes like the daughter, and of course the who's the part that what's the guy who's the other co-lead and besides Paul Rudd?
The villain or Michael Pena?
No, the older gentleman.
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, thank you.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas. I guess that could be, look at it as, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but
I just saying the timing of these 2 movies seems because he had a complete script written and ready to go, and it's my understanding that not much of that script was used for Peyton, whatever the heck his name is, that did Ant-Man.
I would be comfortable saying that he had just written Ant-Man as a heist movie. He had written his heist movie, and it didn't come out, so he's like, I'm still going to write my heist movie,
right?
And this time it's just going to be Baby Driver. So I think that he was probably in that frame of mind. He probably loves the genre of heist films, and he's like, okay, you're not going to do Ant-Man. Well, I'm still going to write my heist movie.
Which, in hindsight, I'm grateful that he didn't do Ant-Man, because then we probably would have never gotten Baby Driver. And Baby Driver is supposed to be coming out with a sequel very soon. It's been greenlit and everything. I don't know how they're going to do that, because first of all, everybody except Baby and Deborah are dead, right?
Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone is.
Well, that's Baby's movie.
The old man's still alive.
Yeah, that's right.
Eating his peanut butter sandwiches with the peanut butter spread all the way to the edge.
But what is it going to be as intriguing? Because now he doesn't have Kevin Spacey breathing down his neck which I
well,
mean,
Kevin
both ways.
Kevin Spacey wouldn't have been in this anyway, but
Yeah.
he's kind of done in Hollywood.
But what?
I mean, I don't
where's
want a
the
sequel to this
motivation?
movie. I think that's kind of a
Yeah.
weird thing. It's a really good standalone movie.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's already been
whatever.
greenlit.
It'll probably be good. I don't think that's a bad
Well,
thing.
Edgar Wright's never disappointed me. I mean, if you look at, I know a lot of his movies don't make the box office impact that some others movies make. For instance, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, Scott Pilgrim. Both those did. Scott Pilgrim lesser of those three, but those three movies didn't do amazing like what Shaun of the Dead did, right?
Mhm.
But he always delivers upon my expectation of what I'm getting. Like every time I walk away from one of his movies, I'm like, that was awesome. Why doesn't this guy do more movies? Right?
Mhm.
Baby Driver, it's just meant to be an easygoing heist movie, right? It gives you this amazing music, much like how we kind of got attached to Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Baby Driver delivers on that same tone. I love that it's the cornerstone of this movie, but the idea of a sequel worries me because, first of all, he lost his hearing in this movie, right?
Mhm.
When John Hamm shot the guns next to his ears. There's really no reason why he would go back into crime. So is the next movie not going to be a heist movie? I don't know. But it seemed to be such a beautiful cap to this movie. I just don't understand where they would go.
Man, I had forgotten a lot of this stuff. I didn't have time to finish it. I had 20 minutes left. I didn't realize. I forgot he had lost his hearing.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie over 50 times, I think.
Yeah, I think I've seen it at least 20 times. Do you know the term diegetic when it comes to music? So diegetic is a term in films when the music in a film is heard by the characters. So oftentimes we score a film like Fast and the Furious and they'll put the music on and it's like, okay, but they're racing. All the songs in Baby Driver are songs that the actual character is listening to.
Mhm.
So when an iPod pops out, that's the song stops for us, the audience. When a car smashes in and it stalls out, the music stops. Then it comes back on again. And there oftentimes films will use a diegetic song or two, like if we think of Pulp Fiction, where John Travolta and Uma Thurman are walking in, they play "Girl, they put the vinyl on and it plays. But this whole movie, all the songs, everything you hear is the actual character listening to the music. And I think the editing in this is the unsung hero with the music editing the rhythm of the film and scoring it. And it's not just we're going to throw in the soundtrack to pump up the scene, but it's so integral. Even Baby Driver, when he's driving, he has to find the right song.
Yeah.
You know, and from a creative standpoint, we've all been there. Like when you're working out, you got to find that right workout song. When you're driving, and it's that you got to find that right thing. That spoke so true to me, and I have never seen it done as well as that is done in here. I know music plays a big part in your life, Lance, and I'm sure, Max, you're a huge music fan, if not a musician yourself. But I love the focus on the integral part of music to the pacing and the rhythm and the editing of this movie. It's so impressive.
So one of my favorite movies, if not one of my top 5 favorite movies ever, is Shaun of the Dead, right? I've seen that movie in theaters multiple times with one of my best friends. And there's a scene in there that where they're killing zombies to the tune of Queen, right? Somebody bumps the jukebox and Queen's playing and they're hitting the zombies with pool sticks in beat with the Queen song. And it was and at this time I wasn't a huge movie aficionado. I was into movies, but not nearly like what I am now. And I didn't appreciate that scene like I do now. And especially after watching Baby Driver. So Edgar Wright has done this many times. And it's one of the coolest scenes of the movie when they're taking turns swinging at the zombie with these pool sticks. And they're listening to it and we're listening to it. So it's interesting.
If you watch the opening of this movie again, when Baby's getting the coffee and that song's playing and we're kind of getting the credits, you actually see in the city the lyrics to the song It'll be graffitied on the wall. It will be on the sign of a thing. So the lyrics to the song
Really?
to that are actually throughout the city as he's walking.
Are you kidding me? I
That's
never
so
noticed
cool.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna watch
Watch
it
it
again.
again. Yeah, it's on, yeah. When he's
That's
going
so
to get in
cool.
when he's going and getting the coffee, everything that comes up is hidden somewhere in the city, not digitally, but like actually on the set. The words are somehow incorporated into that song, and like that small
not
stuff
every
like that.
word, right? But some of the
I
words.
think it's yeah, the punctuation highlight words. I can't remember the song
Like
on the top of my head.
the impactful words. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's so cool. Good catch, man. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. That's cool.
Yeah. You can watch if you watch this movie just for the editing and just sit. I'm just gonna focus on where they're cutting and the set pieces. Also, a cool thing about this movie too that I never noticed before, but he kind of ensconces the whole movie in these teals and salmon colors, like all the backgrounds of both the heist place and his place there, and you see it on the movie poster, that kind of salmon pink and that teal, which to me is like this 1950s Americana that pervades this whole movie, from how he's kind of like Elvis at some points to this pink and teal back rooms that remind me of like diners and old car shows. And the amount of love that went into this was amazing.
I got very big James Dean vibes.
Yes. Yeah.
It almost was if Edgar Wright would have liked to do this movie with James Dean. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. That's a great point, Lance. Yeah.
Because Ansel Engor, is that his name? He even dresses like James Dean a lot of the time, with kind of the rolled up jeans and the Converses and the old Letterman jacket. It reminded me of James Dean in every way.
You're right. That's a cool parallel. I like that.
Yeah. Even I think James Dean has a movie where he's called Baby almost the entire movie. Isn't that right?
Well, Rebel Without a Cause, there's that big drag race scene in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he's only done James Dean only had 3 movies.
Yeah.
Giant, and Rebel Without a Cause, and East of Eden.
Which, after watching this movie again and realizing this, because when I watch a movie, if it's not for the show, I just like to immerse myself in the movie, right? When we're watching for a show, I find that I put like different glasses on, right? And while I was watching, I'm like, you know what? I should really watch those James Dean movies to see if I'm right in my thought process, because I couldn't tell you. All I remember is that drag race scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought there was some connection to the name Baby from those movies, but I'm not sure. But hi Kyle, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. But
Max, sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead. I didn't have anything.
I was going to ask Max, you were talking about the performances fell flat in the other movie, which I'm not even going to mention the name to anymore, guys. I'm done with that movie. Is there any performance in this film that you thought was flat? I can't think of one performance, even from the sub characters. Is there anything that anything in the performance
flat? No,
that you did,
no, dude. Every performance is fantastic. This movie demonstrated to me, and I already knew this, but other than Amazing Spider-Man 2, Jamie Foxx is an amazing actor, dude. He is so good. Like in Just Mercy, which if you guys haven't seen, fantastic movie, you should watch it. He plays this more timid person, not entirely timid, but like a really like a good guy. Then in Baby Driver, he's playing a freaking horrible psychopath, which I'm watching this and I'm like, how has this night guy not been arrested? He kills everybody he comes into contact with. But he is insane. And he does an amazing job at it. I hated that character so much, but not because Jamie Foxx was hateable, but because the character was hateable due to Jamie Foxx's performance.
Such menace in that performance.
Yeah.
And John Hamm is kind of like the same guy he is in every movie. He doesn't have.
I don't think that was the case in this.
John Hamm in this.
I thought he was great,
but it's not. I thought it was the same as but I love him in this movie. I'm not trying to say that's a negative thing, but not. He's not really flexing his range, in my opinion. He's more of a dirtbag, right? Because he's robbing banks and stuff. In other movies, we see him. He's usually like Richard Jewell, an FBI agent or something like that. But he has the same mannerisms and he delivers his lines the same way. And it's not bad in this movie. But if I had to rank all the performance, Ansel's at the top by far. His performance is when he's dancing, when he's running away from the cops, when he's driving the car, when he's has the headphones in and he's listening to Kevin Spacey deliver the plan for robbing the postal office and everything.
Yeah.
The look on his face, I've had that look as somebody that has ADHD and often will sit, like when I was in high school, all my teachers let me just doodle in the back of the class because it's the only way I could hear what they were saying. And the look on his face, I connected with that face in the way he was just kind of playing with the car as he's talking and stuff like that. There's so many aspects to this character that Ansel just nails right on the head. He's by far the best performance. But
his posture, his everything.
Yeah. But my least favorite is probably John Hamm, and that's not saying that he wasn't good. It's just I've seen it before, you know.
I next time you watch this movie, I for John Hamm, I want you to pay particular attention to this scene I'm going to talk about here, because to me, watching it this time, I didn't catch it before. When the baby goes to meet his girl at the diner after the big heist goes wrong, and John Hamm sitting there, he is so tired. He's drinking coffee, and his face is so tired, right? And and everything, it's so calm, and like he's like luring you in. His name is Buddy, and that's what he is. He's a buddy. And the transition and the shift from him being this fun guy, is like, what you listening to? Oh, that's a killer track, man, to him becoming the main antagonist of the film is so natural. It doesn't, to me, it just feels like this natural progression. They plant the dialogue in there from John Hamm's girlfriend. He goes, you don't want to get my buddy mad, because when he sees black, when he sees red, you see black. And we see John Hamm just staring bullets at Jamie Foxx, like, oh, I am going to kill you. So we see that's in there. And then Baby releases that once he gets his girlfriend killed, and he's just so tired, but he's like, I don't quit, you know.
Well, and you see that John Hamm's character has such a respect for Ansel too, and almost cares for him as a friend, or as almost sees him as like a son in a small thing. That
he likes Baby.
Even after Baby blows up the heist, because the whole reason the heist goes wrong is kind of his fault, right? He drives into the back of that truck and impales Jamie Foxx's character,
which was cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. But they run in different directions, right? And they meet up again later in a parking lot. John Hamm could have shot Baby right there, right? Shoot Baby. You effed up. We're in this situation because of you. I'm going to shoot you. And still is like, get in the car. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, still is kind of almost sheltering him to a point. Then the girlfriend dies, right? And it's, I'm going to effing kill you right here, right now. You know what I mean? Like,
this is your.
Yeah, and not for a second.
Something like that.
Yeah, not for a second, as you as the watcher, like, well, that didn't seem natural, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I totally get it.
Like, they warned you not to do this, and you've done it. Let's talk about even like small parts. John Bernthal is in this movie, and you forget about his performance at the beginning. John Bernthal plays the Punisher, of course, and he's so great. He plays like the kind of what Jamie Foxx later plays in the heist, that kind of wild card character, and he gives us the exposition about Baby. You know, what's going on here? He doesn't listen. You know, all this stuff like that. And I was like, oh. And
Kyle,
he's like,
Kyle just had to say, he's actually seen Baby Driver, so he feels a little bit part of the conversation right now. He never watches any of the movies we talk about. So I just wanted to point that out there, but continue, Travis. I'm sorry.
And he has this great line, so well placed storytelling wise. He's like, where do you get off? And he's like, right here. The elevator opens up, and he goes, if you don't see me, means I'm dead. And we don't see him again for the entire movie. He's like, where do you get off? He goes, this is where I exit the elevator. It's also where I'm exiting the movie. So bye, right? And you have that performance. He just drops in there and just exits the screen. Fantastic performance.
Now that you say that, I'm wondering if John's character kills him.
Oh, yeah.
Because talk about how Buddy kills quite a few people.
He says if you look at him, he does. You're right. And in the car, the girlfriend says he's talking about. Remember that time you killed that guy who looked at me wrong? Well, bats just looked at me wrong. And so she does mention a time. And Bernthal is like blowing gum and looking her over and looking at her like this in the elevator. You're right. I think you might be right. I never caught that before. You're absolutely correct, and hence why he's not back doing the same heist with the team again or something like that. Yeah.
So, guys, Matt has said 3 times, bring Kyle on. So if Kyle's down for it, I'm going to send him the link. Is that cool? If we can't get Corban tonight, let's try to at least get one absolute geek on here.
Kyle says he can't.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. We'll get the better absolute geeker in Corban.
No, but I don't want to miss this opportunity of Kyle actually watching the movie that we talked about.
Oh, I hear you. It would be fun to have Kyle on.
Yeah, but he came on the show about maybe 8 or 9 months ago. We gave everybody the assignment to watch this movie. He comes on the show and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't see it."
It was Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah,
I mean, we ruined the whole movie. He hadn't even seen it.
I've got a halftime interjection question to ask you based on this movie. In this movie, they talk a lot about names being in movies, like Deborah or Mary or Baby. Do you guys have any songs that feature your name that when they come on, you're like, oh, I don't get a lot of songs with my name in it. Any Lance songs, any Kyle song, any Max songs out there? Yeah.
The only call to fame that I have with my name Lance is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I think it's that movie where he's like, he stabbed him with a lot. Is that movie? It's been years since I've seen Monty Python.
Yeah. Guy names aren't as prevalent in songs as female names.
Well,
the center of the song.
My call to fame is being the Grinch's dog. That is my biggest name to fame here. I don't know of any songs with my name in it, but it's possible because Max is a dual gender name, so you could have a song that someone's saying about like Max or something,
like a South Park song where they talk about Kyle. Oh, it's Kenny.
Nah, I don't know.
So at one point when I was a kid, we had one of the NSYNC bandmates' name was Lance, so that was kind of cool. And then he came out as gay, and then we thought we were, on top again when Lance Armstrong won the Tour de France, and it found out he was doing steroids. So
okay, I take it.
What about
I remembered a song. A song. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Lagwagon has a song called Max Says.
That's true.
They do. Okay. It's a good song. Max Says, and I don't remember. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
What about your wives' names? Do your wives have common names?
My wife's name is Kelsey, so she's in that song. I'd swim the ocean for you, swim the ocean for you.
I don't think I know that one.
Kelsey, I can't remember the name of the band right now.
But my wife's name is Anna. Her name's been in quite a few things.
Yeah.
It's about as common as you can get for a white woman.
Metro Station. It's Metro Station. Yeah. I had to Google it real quick.
That's why I didn't recognize it.
But I love our female lead's performance in here because there's not a lot of females, and in fact, there's only two females in this movie,
Darling and Deborah,
Deborah. She's just so. Oh my God, my sister's name is Mary. She's got all the good songs. I mean, you could drive back and forth the country like for days listening to baby songs. Like it's just like again, it brings you back to this time, and like she's so adorable. And there's some male fantasy in that character, of this kind of ride or die girl who's just like, I think you're so fascinating, and I'll drop everything and go with you at the drop of a hat. But she plays the character well.
So apparently Zach Brown Band has a song called Lance's Song. I'll have to listen to that later. But there's not many for me. But no, there's just so many subtleties in Baby Driver that it's just kind of makes you grin from ear to ear, right? Where he's saying he's listening to the iPod, and she goes, "Oh, you don't have that song on your iPod?" And he goes, "No, let me check my other iPod." Right? He has different iPods for different moods. I had that when I was a kid. I had like 5 iPod Nanos because they were far cheaper than the regular iPod, and each one was for different stuff. So I had my aggressive, kind of thrasher punk on one. I had one with like some country music, like old school 90s country music and stuff. I had one with some like pop punk. I had some with some acoustic stuff. So I had these iPods devoted for different things, and each one was a different color. So when I saw that from Baby, I'm like, that is so cool, man. I guess I'm not a weirdo.
I like how that one is sparkly and glitter, because I think he's getting them for the cars he boosts, because most people probably have an iPod in their car. So he probably boosted some chicks like Subaru and was like, I'll just take this iPod too.
You know what's interesting? I wonder if it would be cool to hit on that a little bit. Like when he boosts the car, and the iPod has the music on. I wonder if he just keeps the music on there and just adds it to his like experience, right?
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I got the vibe that the glittery iPod was his mom's. That's kind of the vibe I got. Like,
I think she would have been dead maybe before iPod. Maybe you're right.
Well, because he got his original iPod from his mom. They show him getting his original iPod from his mom. Like for like Christmas or something like that.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it could be that like sparkly one was his mom's, and that's why it's so important to him. I don't know.
And it had the old school. It had the old school song on it. Deborah, you look like a set. So it was of her era or music that she looked like.
I thought it was funny too. Like he keeps mispronouncing certain musicians' names. He's like, oh yeah, this song by Trex, and she goes, Trex, you mean T-Rex? And he goes, oh yeah. Like it just kind of blows up. So I wonder almost if he had like a lower education or something like that. Like I don't know. I was trying to figure out what Edgar Wright was trying to say by having him like kind of mispronounce these names, or maybe he just doesn't really talk to people. So everything he's learned, he's just kind of learned himself or whatever.
I wonder if because he can't hear very well and he reads lips. I wonder if every time someone has said that, it sounds like when you read the lips, it sounds like T-Rex. Yeah. And it sounds like when he's looking at the lips, like he just can't hear the subtlety enough when someone says, oh, you like the band T-Rex or Trex? And so I wonder if that's a thing with his hearing.
Quantum Kyle from now neither of you have met him, but he's asking if he can come on for a little bit. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm totally dead.
Okay, so Quantum, it's coming to your Facebook, my friend. Send me a Facebook message so I don't have to go look for you.
While we're waiting on that, what do you guys think about the car is in this, the chase scenes, the action?
The chase scenes were some of my most favorite chase scenes I've ever seen in a movie like this. I mean, they were not ridiculous, like kind of Fast and Furious kind of gets ridiculous. It reminded me more of like an aggressive version of like the Italian Job type chase scenes, you know. There was drifting around corners. It kind of had
the French Connection, Steve McQueen type movies. Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. And I thought it was fitting for the tone that Edgar Wright was doing, because he could have gone balls to the wall and made this like absolutely ridiculous, but he didn't, right? It fit the tone of the movie, right? As kind of this movie set in a modern time, but I want to give the audience some of these nostalgic, retro feels a little bit. There's one point where he's even driving like an old 60s Cadillac, I think. So it kind of felt, I thought it fit the movie really well. And I thought there's a scene in the beginning intro where he does a drift around, and it's doing it from an overhead shot, and it shows the car kind of turning the corner and leaving the tire tread on the thing that I thought was one of the coolest. Corban, he's here. He's coming live from his car.
Oh, hey, Corban, do some baby driver moves while you're on.
But I'm not sure if it's working, because right now, yeah, I can hear you. But the car scenes were awesome. Corban, how are you, my friend? Why are you not home?
Listen, it's a long story. No,
he told us this might happen, and we were like, don't worry about it.
I know, and this was the worst fear. So I'm still half an hour away from my house, and I'm like, by the time I get there, I've been listening the entire ride. I'm like, let's just play it safe. I found a space with some light. I got decent enough earphones. I figured I might as well try it out here.
So who's driving?
Y'all been doing a great show.
Who's driving right now?
I didn't trust my car to make the drive out to Glendale. I'm in my car now. So it was me, Matt, friend Solo Wookie, I'm sure you know, Chad, and then it was Kyle. And so Matt and Kyle left early. Solo Wookie stuck around and talked a little bit with Brian. We were at his place. And then we started the drive back. So we didn't start heading back until 7 and change. I'm like, I don't know. And then as I'm pulling up, Chad's like, you could have just got on while we were in the car. I was like, of course. So
for those of you who are only listening to this as a podcast form, Corban has a Mike Myers Halloween mask on. He really got into it. It's not safe to be podcasting in a Halloween mask while driving, so I'm not going to encourage that.
Thank you, Travis. Oh, man. So I apologize for the lateness, y'all.
So Corban, I saw earlier you kind of agreed with our sentiments when it came to the
movie that shall not be mentioned. We're not going to say the name again.
Yeah, it was horrible. Oh my goodness. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I got to a certain point, stopped, and then went back and finished the end in case we talked about the ends. And I am just glad I missed like the majority of the middle because it was horrible. Like I agree with Travis. I'm not going to name it, but I didn't enjoy it, especially with the movie that I've already seen and like really liked. Like the comparison is there, and it just wasn't really well done.
I kind of wish that I flipped it so I watched Baby Driver and then I watched the Voldemort movie, and I kind of wish that I would have watched the Voldemort movie first and then watched Baby Driver because
Voldemort movie. What?
Yeah, the movie that shall not be named.
Oh,
I like that. Yeah, I got where he's going with that.
Okay.
You ate your dessert first, huh?
Yeah, and Matt said last night on his podcast on Absolute Geek that Couch Crunchers is the dessert to his entree. So yeah, Grizzle Geek.
There you go.
Grizzle Geek is the appetizer, then comes the entree with Absolute Geek, and then comes the dessert. I don't know about you fellas, but I kind of like being the dessert.
I like dessert too much. It's why I have diabetes. So
what you gonna do with that dessert?
Hey, Corban, Corban, Are you a car guy? Do you know a lot about cars? You into cars?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
the sad thing is I know enough. Like I trust my car where and where I can't go. If there's a problem, I scream mechanic. Like I know the bare minimum. I'm trying to make that more of a hobby.
Yeah, I'm not I'm horrible at driving manual. I've never like done track racing or drifted and stuff like that. So I don't think I fully appreciate the stunt driving in these movies as much as someone who's really into cars and racing. And so I was hoping one of us would be able to be like, oh no, when that's all like done like this and that's so hard to do.
Now
that would be cool.
We're all too geeky. We're just such geeks. We're like, I have a Prius.
So I'm into cars a little bit. I'm not like watching NASCAR or street races or anything, but like Max will tell you, like I have an infatuation for certain cars. Kyle is actually the same way from Absolute Geek. He likes cars as well.
I sent Quantum Kyle the link on Insta. We had a message from him already, so we're good. Quantum, we are excited to have you on. It'll be nice to meet you digitally.
So, yeah, I mean, I always appreciate a good car scene. I mean, Italian Job, for as kind of cheesy as it is, that was one of the best scenes, when they take the Mini Coopers through those big tubes and stuff like that. Like, I always like to see a well-executed chase scene. The movie prior to Baby Driver did not have that. Like I said, I noticed that thing where the editing was so poorly done that those cars clashed into each other. And a few seconds ago, it did not look like they were going to hit.
That's true. Yeah. There was a couple of those.
Yeah, where the editing was just poor.
My favorite driving trick was the one where they go into the tunnel and he sees the two other red cars out of the same model, and he brakes and then goes into the other lane. I thought that was so badass. Sorry.
That was good.
You're good. I was just going to make a comment about how, Corban, when you first came on, before you mentioned that you had headphones in, I could have sworn that due to the lighting in your car that you had these like weird gauges or massive earrings on or something. I was like, what the heck are up with his earrings right now?
Right?
He's rocking those hoops.
Style.
He's rocking those hoops, man.
I was like, when'd you get gauges, man?
Hey, new look, new haircut, new gauges, everything.
He says,
No.
"Don't you disrespect my hoops? Come on."
Exactly.
But
Oh,
dude,
man.
to answer Travis's question, I know he's not here right now. I loved the chase sequences in Baby Driver. I thought they were I do think that they are a little ridiculous, but they're meant to be. Like that's the tone
Fast and
of the
Furious
movie.
esque.
But they're feasible.
Yeah, they were more feasible for sure. I loved them. I thought they were really fun chase sequences. I had a ton of fun with.
I didn't think
with
any
them.
of that wasn't feasible. I'm interested. To
What
see-
about when he jumps over the car, the police chargers running right into him, and he does the thing where he runs all the way across the hood and tucks and rolls out the back of it?
Well, we kind of saw. I mean, maybe for cinematic purposes that might have been.
Yeah.
But I don't think a human person would not be able to do that. Like, I think that somebody because it expresses in the beginning how athletic he is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I like that.
don't
I
think
like
it's outside the realm of possibility.
I like that, Lance,
funny.
because I thought the same thing. I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, the part
I
for me is
definitely
when-
couldn't.
when he steals the car from the old lady and then he's gonna give her purse back, that was the part that I don't know drifting or anything, but the way he turned the car around like that,
that's
almost in a
absolutely
stationary
possible.
fashion, really, that seemed pretty.
I've seen it with my own two eyes in real life. When I've gone to
Really?
car shows and stuff. That's totally
Dang.
feasible.
all right, then never mind.
He does it twice. He does it in that purple car, and then he does it in the Charger earlier in the movie. He does that same
Point is,
thing where he
Baby
kind of-
is an amazing driver and he's super fun to watch.
Yeah.
If you're a skilled driver, you can make that car do almost anything except jump it from one building to another building. I don't
What
think
about-
you can do that.
What about
Yeah.
the gun happy hero in the truck who's like, this dude is like a good citizen. He's got guns in his car. He's chasing them across turnstile. I'm like, this guy is serious, man. This
I
guy
want a
is
movie
serious.
about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna name him George or something. I want to
You
see a
can say
movie
George.
about George. Okay, that guy was freaking cool.
So I kind of got the vibe from the movie that he was there to examine the armored cars, almost like he was like security for the armored cars. Was that not the case? I've seen this
I
movie
just
quite
thought-
often, and I kind of
I just thought he was a private citizen that was
Yeah.
kind of doing.
Same.
yeah.
Was anyone disappointed in the part where in that chase scene it ends where they get into a different car and there's a baby in the back and baby takes the baby out of the car? I was like, what? I thought this was the part where we were going to get the baby driver.
Yeah,
He's
you couldn't even
driving the
say.
baby around. I was like,
Yeah.
finally,
Choose the power. Let's
he's
see
gonna
it.
drive a baby.
They missed a really good visual ode to the title there. They really did.
Sequel. That's for the sequel. Baby
Put
driver.
the baby in his front seat, and the baby is grabbing the steering wheel along with him. That would have been pretty
So,
legit.
I heard in the sequel Bruce Willis plays the baby's voice, so it should be good.
Vin Diesel comes out with it.
Yeah. So, well, you know what he's talking
Jeez.
about, right, Travis? He's talking about Look Who's Talking.
Yeah,
Do you know what that
that was
is?
a look who's talking reference.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen
Kirstie Alley's going to play the daughter. Have you
it.
seen?
I'm
Look,
with you, Corbin. That went over my head. I don't know.
Thank you.
have you guys never seen Look Who's Talking?
Mm-mm.
That's a
Nope.
big-
What about Look Who's Talking Now, the sequel? Or perhaps
Nope.
you've seen Look Who's Talking Again, the third movie of the
No, it's-
Look Who's Talking
Followed by
trilogy.
Look Who Won't Stop Talking.
Yeah.
Followed by Look Who Won't Stop talking. Look who just
Yeah.
needs to shut the up. That's the movie.
They're actually
The
pretty
Couch
enjoyable
Crunchers
movies.
documentary.
So they came out around that same time as like Three Men and a Baby. Do you guys know that one?
No.
2.5 babies. Or 2.5
Two and a half
bad.
babies.
My fault. Whoop.
Not 2.5 men, Corbin. Three men and a baby, or three.
Tom Selleck.
And a little lady. Tom Selleck, Tony Danza, or not Tony Danza, Ted Danson. Are you serious?
And
Nope, I've never seen these. I've never even heard of these.
Am I just as old as dirt that I don't understand
Yes,
this right now?
you
I don't-
are.
I mean, the answer is in the question, my friend.
I don't understand what's happening right now. Travis,
those were around 90 and 91. So
so I
Yeah,
was.
dude, that's
Target
like-
age.
I was like barely born at that point.
I'm just
Same.
shocked.
I didn't
Wait.
see those.
well,
91?
looks like it's just you and me, Lance.
I was born in '88, so I was a little young for those
Yeah.
movies.
95.
Movies, bud. If Anna
Do you
knows,
guys
definite
Do you
issue.
guys remember Pop Rocks and Clear Pepsi?
I do remember Pop Rocks. Those were the shiz back in the day, dude. I love Pop Rocks.
1995.
Pop
Hello,
Rocks are
much
still out, man. Pop Rocks are still there. You get like
I can't eat them with my ulcer. I'm too old.
you get like 8 apples all in your mouth at the same time, and it's like a party in your mouth. A different party than what Travis is used to in his mouth, but like another.
Oh my goodness!
Wow!
Oh,
You see how we were supposed to be the old men team. You just turned on your
Lance
fellow
with the
old man.
heat.
Lance is going
Yeah.
to timeout.
You're gonna whop you with my cane.
Lance with the heat, man. Lance with the heat. Jeez. We wasn't ready.
Oh man! So that was a good one.
That
was filthy, sir.
That was a drive-by. Travis didn't even see it coming.
I know that burn was good, but not as good as the burn of having me watch 2 shitty movies back-to-back weeks.
Oh man!
I feel like I was getting. I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to pop up on the webcam and be like, "This was the whole like
I'm not gonna lie.
COVID
I
thing."
felt bad.
Confession-wise, if I may add, I was really hoping after we had our great conversation that y'all would say, "Let's watch Batman Forever. Let's go full Shoemaker up in this piece." But then I would give Travis his third. I mean, we bucked the trend. We'd give Travis a movie that he'd be proud to talk about.
I'm with you on that one. I'm like you, Corbin. I know you defend that movie. I defend it too. I'm a fan.
I like it. It's fine.
You know what? Then we have to watch Batman and
For
Robin.
its time, Batman
It
Forever
is so ordered. Batman and Robin it is.
I honestly would not be opposed to a side-by-side comparison of Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. I would.
I
Totally
believe there's a great chase scene in there in neon-colored black lights too. We can compare to Baby Driver.
Oh yeah.
Neon, isn't that the color of the party in your mouth, Travis?
It's coming from all sides.
I don't know.
That makes no sense.
That biologically works.
It doesn't.
Honestly, it's like the kids at school. You can give even a C+ burn. If people go, "Oh," then you're just burned. That's the rules. We don't make them.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Are we playing school insult rules? All I gotta say is your mama then after it, and then we're good. That's how you return that.
Just payback for the last episode Travis and I did together, which before Scoob, I said somebody's name wrong. Travis ran with it for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Was that the Parasite episode?
No.
Was that 1917?
No, it was after that. It was recent. What was that episode?
I tell you guys, 1917. If you haven't watched our episode about that's probably one of the best conversations we've ever had on Couch Crunchers. Sam and Travis freaking killed that one. You guys had so many cool thoughts. It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember. No, but Travis knows I love him. Travis, you are going to come on the show again, right?
Yeah. Listen, guys, I'm a teacher. I'm staring down the barrel of a very boring quarantine summer break. So I will be on Absolute Geek, Absolute Couch Crunchers, Absolute
Spinner Rack, Absolute Spinner Rack.
Hey guys, so I want to make a big introduction. His first time on the show. This is Quantum Kyle. So Quantum Kyle and I met at Phoenix Fan Fusion about 2 years ago. He is begging to come on the show. Corbin, you met Quantum Kyle, didn't you?
My memory sucks. So, I mean, if I did, pleasure to be reintroduced to you, man. Aside from that, I probably did. It's just my memory is so bad.
So let me just say, now that we've got Quantum Kyle on, Lance, come on, let's PG-13 this up a little.
Yeah.
Jeez, come on.
I feel like Quantum Kyle's got a little Baby Driver kind of coif going on in his hair there. I like that.
So
That's a flip.
So Quantum, we're losing him. Quantum,
my internet sucks.
Quantum came on to one of our panels, our superhero Tinder, and it had to been one of the most fun panels I've ever done because of the commentary coming from him. It was fantastic. This was an all ages panel, and he didn't get the memo.
Oh wow, one of those.
Yeah. So, how you doing, Quantum? Thank you for coming on.
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I saw your podcast. And I wanted to come on because I've always wanted to be on the podcast. I'm starting a podcast with my friends.
Oh, are you? What's it called?
We have no idea.
No idea yet. Well, there's this.
Oh, I thought that was the title. My bad. I was like, I like it.
There's this app. there's this app where you could just put in different words and it'll give you a podcast name generator.
Oh, nice. Well, Kyle, I'm glad this is your first one because you're really setting the bar low, and so you can only move up from here. This is a good place to start.
Yeah, if you want to just go one tier higher, just go on the Comic Podcast.
Higher's higher.
Oh man! But as you can see, Quantum, we all love each other, so we kind of give each other a hard time. But have you seen Baby Driver?
I've always wanted to, but I've never seen it before.
Well, Quantum, that's what we're talking about right now, buddy.
I know. So I was like, I was about to join this, and I remembered that you guys are talking about Baby Driver, and I just.
Hey, Quantum, Kyle, I'm gonna call you QK if that's okay. QK, are you driving? Are you driving these days?
No, I'm not.
All right. How far away are we get from getting a license?
What are you, 14, Quantum,
15.
or 15? Yeah.
What kind of ride? What kind of ride are you looking at trying to get? What you turn 16, you get your license. What kind of ride are you looking to baby driver around?
I don't know.
You can say something blue, like we'll take that.
Toyota Corolla. Yeah. Just say Corolla.
Are you a truck guy? Are you like a sports car guy? Are you like
a car?
Oh, look at you, so responsible.
What did he say?
Electric car.
Electric car. Well, I drive a diesel that is the exact opposite of an electric car. So
it's a leaky diesel too.
If I could get an electric car for an affordable price, I'd be totally down, man. I'm all for going green as long as it's affordable.
Yeah,
I don't make enough money to buy a $40,000 car.
Nope.
Dude, Ford sells one for $20,000.
Yeah, I like my if I'm going to get a small car, I want it to cost $10,000.
But yeah, so Quantum and I met when he was 13, I think, right?
14.
You were I met you about 2 years ago, I think.
No, you met me 20.
Those last years. Those last Tucson Comic-Con, dude.
No, it was Phoenix.
Oh, it was Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something. It definitely wasn't 2018 then, because I was at 2018. Unless you guys already addressed it, where does the quantum thing come from? I'm dying to know.
I don't know. Why did we start calling you that?
I don't know. I wanted to join your guys' thing, and there's already Kyle, so you just came up with quantum.
Oh, okay.
Top of your head.
Quantum Kyle. All right.
Yeah, I think Cameron or Jay came up, or somebody. I don't remember who it did, but we just started calling him Quantum Kyle, and he's been with us since the beginning.
We're glad to have you on, man.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable talking about a Kevin Spacey movie with QK here.
Oh yeah, I know what he did. I
gotta know what that rat bastard did.
Oh man,
that pedo.
It was sad because that was right around the time that'll happen, and like right up to that point, like if anyone asked me who's my favorite actor, I would have said Kevin Spacey. From like The Negotiator and Seven and even Baby Driver, like it was right to this moment.
A really good show. Yeah, he's a good actor. House of Cards.
Life is beautiful.
Yep.
Oh,
I was
American
all like, I would say he was my favorite actor, and I wouldn't be lying. And once everything went down, I was like, Val Kilmer, and like that was it. You know,
Val Kilmer, your favorite actor?
Well, I mean, not Kevin Spacey can't be. So yeah.
But
and people
Val
say,
Kilmer's he's a cool guy.
But I put Val Kilmer for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and then Batman Forever. No, I'm just kidding. Val Kilmer's not my favorite actor, but
I was gonna say, Corban, hot news just came in. Val Kilmer's canceled now, apparently.
Oh no.
But yeah,
wasn't Val Kilmer in Tombstone? I thought he was one of the good ones in Tombstone.
Yeah, Doc Holliday.
Yeah, he did a great job in that. He's a good actor.
No, once Kevin Spacey got knocked, it's actually Michael B. Jordan, but you know.
Oh, that's a good choice. He's a great actor.
Good.
That's one of Lance's favorites as well.
Yes,
really good, really good.
Fruitvale Station is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yep, first movie I saw with him that I registered and was like, wow.
Dude,
you're on my list.
You didn't see oh crud! What's the movie? Keanu Reeves and he had a baseball team. What's the name of that movie?
I can't remember.
Keanu Reeves is the coach of a little league baseball team. What is that movie?
I know what you're talking about because I did see it, but I didn't start with that movie.
Hardball. That's Michael B. Jordan's first movie, and he gets shot. He's the heart moment.
Yep, because of course. No, he does that in movie. Yeah, no, I saw that later.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. I saw it when it came out. Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, back when Look Who's Talking came out, I didn't watch it.
Look Who Won't Stop Talking, 2021.
But
so Kyle, have you seen Baby Driver?
That's not his name, dude. Excuse me.
Quantum, Kyle. I have to say Quantum. Okay.
Is my mic muted? Because I don't think it is.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay,
If Max didn't take his potty break, he would have heard me ask that question already.
Frack! I'm sorry, dude. I just want we're getting sidetracked. I want to hear what he thinks about the movie, but if you already did it, sorry.
I did not see it, so that's why we're just talking about random stuff right now.
Oh,
hey,
okay.
Quantum, are you planning on if Phoenix does end up happening this year, Fan Fusion? Are you planning on going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I reached out to them 2 days ago.
What's the
That's
new?
still a go. That's still a go.
In October, right?
Last weekend of September.
Last weekend of September. So
Nice.
Yeah, your favorite hopeless romantic had to check in on Geek Speed Dating. So,
dude,
which is also a go.
Has that worked out for you yet, Corban?
Huh?
Has that worked out for you yet?
So the first time it happened, I got 26 matches. The only problem is those 26 matches didn't come to me until a month after the event had passed because of a error in the dating site. And I have a story about the one match that I met beforehand, but I don't know if it's safe for Quantum Kyle in the show. So I'm not going to share that one. But,
Huh? What was that?
Exactly.
But there's always hope. And so I had to reach out and find out. And as of this past Friday, the goal is still to continue with Phoenix Fan Fusion. So
That's
know what? Corban, Max and I are going to make it our mission to find you a nice Christian girl.
Be still my heart.
A nice girl who respects her parents.
Oh,
yeah.
We want to get you a nice girl. Okay?
Only shop.
Don't commit me to this, dude. I got married and I don't know a single girl anymore. Like I just don't know any. So I hardly
at Whole Foods. She fights wars for the turtles. We're gonna.
There we go,
buddy. What talking about April O'Neil now?
Yeah, she doesn't shave her legs or her armpits. Like she's all natural. All natural. Loves the earth.
Oh,
hey.
Oh.
All right, so we got Quantum Kyle here, and I'm sure he can comment on the Fab or Flub. So should we give our scores on these movies and move on to Fab or Flub?
Yeah, I think the consensus with the last American Crime or whatever. Are we doing 0.5?
Wait, is it? If it's measured by couch cushions?
Yes. Are we doing point?
The lowest score you can give is a 0.5.
I'm sitting on the floor. So, I don't know. I don't have a cushion to spare, but if I have to give it a 0.5, that is what it's getting. Yes.
Yeah, I just didn't want to spend too much time on that one because
no, you're good. I just didn't know if someone thought maybe a 1 or a 2 or what.
I'm
0.5.
No.
Are you?
It's almost unwatchable.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
agree.
0.5 for me does mean unwatchable. The only reason I finished this movie is because we were reviewing it. And I considered not even finishing it.
Dude, so, I complained to my wife. I said, why the hell am I watching this movie? I just want to shut it off.
You know what? I think in the future, if that happens, shut it off. I think that's okay. Yeah. I don't think we have to finish every movie that we decide we're going to watch.
Nope.
If it's that bad, that's fine.
Our listeners demand our opinions.
we can give an opinion based on 30 minutes. If it's unwatchable, it's unwatchable.
Finish it.
Hey.
Y'all should put out like a ballot of movies y'all considering and then let the fans vote, and then you can blame the fans.
There you go.
Yeah, so we'll get 2 votes.
So what about baby? Yeah, it's funny. We've got quite a few people that follow us on social media, but when we put things up like that, we don't get a lot of interaction.
I'll have to plug it for you. No, I get you.
You're good about plugging for us. We appreciate you, Corban. What about Baby Driver? What do you guys want to score Baby Driver? I'm going to take over, and I'm going to start with Corban. What would you score it out of 5?
Out of 5? You know what? I'd give it 3.5.
Oh, you
almost 4. I really enjoyed it. I like the use of music. I didn't really enjoy. It was weird. I think you mentioned it. I know either Travis or one of you said it, but John Hamm was one that, like, I liked the role. Like, he did a decent job, but it wasn't the role for him. It just felt weird. And I couldn't get out of that. And then there was a couple of moments that I were just, I don't know. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the stunts. I enjoyed the movie. 4 out of 5 is like almost like perfect. I give it a 3.5.
Oh,
3 couch cushions and a throw pillow.
How do I undo that? I just put freaking Absolute Geek and I just meant to do it for like half a second. And now they're in timeout for 5 minutes. Crap.
Oh, Matt is going to flame it. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dang it. He put a comment saying what fans, and so I put him in timeout, but I didn't mean to do that.
He deserves it. He deserves that one. He deserves that one.
Matt,
let him have
gives
it.
us crap. Matt gives us love him.
No, you know, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. All right. How about you, Travis?
Give him a little longer, higher.
I give it 5 out of 5. It's probably one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time. It's definitely in the teens in there. I think it's stylish. There's not a performance in here I don't like. We're doing a heist movie, but we're elevating it with these kind of little detailed bits of attention to it. The set dressings are amazing. I'm not a car guy, and I can tell that the car stunts are like top notch. The pacing of it's perfect. The runtime on this thing, oh, chef's kiss to the runtime. It's perfect. You can watch this movie, and it's so good and so paced so well that you can immediately start it again right after it and watch it again. A fantastic movie. 5 cushions.
Nice. All right. Well,
you want me to go, or do you want to go?
I'll go. You're the host. I just took over for a second. I'm sorry. I missed hosting. Okay, I wanted to take my turn for a second. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. A 5 out of 5 for me is something like 17. And I think I even gave something else the other day. I did a 5 out of 5. For me, I have a really emotional connection to give something a 5 out of 5. It didn't quite hit that for me, but I did really love the movie. I think it's fantastic. So 4.5 out of 5 for me.
For me, this movie is a solid 5 out of 5. It is one of my favorite movies. I'm a big Edgar Wright fan, so pretty much you put his name in it and sign me up, I'll watch it. It's right around the same amount of love that I have for Scott Pilgrim and Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and The World's End. It's one of my favorite movies. I've been begging Max to give it another chance for a long time. He did not understand my infatuation with it, but it's good as he does now. And
I understand it a lot better now.
Corbin needs to watch it again because I think we can get a 5 out of him if he just watches it a couple more times.
Okay.
4 is a really good score. Come on.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have Quantum Kyle, I'm going to prox for him and give it a 4.5.
Yeah. Great.
So let's get into Fab or Flub real quick. So this is where we talk about a couple of the headlines that are going on. We'll try to move through these quickly. But the first what are you laughing at?
Sorry, I just got fired in the messages from Matt for supporting his timeout. I'm sorry.
Corban has to live on the fence quite a bit, man. Like they fired him, I think, like 8 times in their show last night.
Yep. Every time.
Real quick, Warner Brothers gaming division might be sold to EA, Take-Two, or Activision. Those are the 3 teams that are expressing interest in this sale. Now, does Warner Brothers? I didn't even know they made their own games. Like, I know Arkham Asylum was made by what? Insomniac or?
No. Arkham was made by Rocksteady, and Rocksteady is one of the studios that's part of like the Warner Brothers game arm. So Warner Brothers doesn't it's not like it's a Warner Brothers Studios that makes it, but they own studios that do their development, and that's the arm that's potentially going to be sold. So games like the Arkham games, the Lord of the Rings, like the Middle Earth, Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, and Mortal Kombat, like all of those are Warner Brothers like studios. So those are the studios that are potentially going to be sold. And I don't see Mortal Kombat going anywhere. The Shadow of Mordor series isn't going anywhere. I would imagine Arkham will come back eventually. So I think what will happen is, like, let's say EA, I hope this doesn't happen. Let's say EA were to buy them out. They would probably like license out Batman and Middle Earth so that those games could still be made, and AT&T would still make money off of it. It would just be that they wouldn't have like the risk necessary and all the additional costs. They would get more of like a licensing deal out of it.
So EA would buy it, but they wouldn't retain any of the IP?
No, EA would not retain the IP. I don't think. We don't know the contracts, but I would be extremely surprised if AT&T sold their IP. Like, why would they do that?
Well, why don't they just shut down their studio then? Because IP is the is the thing of the most value that when it comes to these video game studios, right? Is IP, right? Because other than that, you're just buying equipment and employees essentially.
Yeah, but extremely talented. I think that people.
But those people
are going to be open to that.
But those people are going to be looking for a job if Warner Brothers closes down their studio anyway. So you could still get those people. The only thing of value is the IP.
No, I know, but the thing is, let's say, you know what, my dream would be that Microsoft buys this arm. That would be freaking awesome. And then Microsoft, kind of like Insomniac can use the Spider-Man license for video games, but they don't own Spider-Man. Sony does. Microsoft wouldn't own Batman, so it'd be a little bit different. But like, let's say Microsoft were to buy Rocksteady. AT&T would still allow them to use Batman to make video games, but now it would only be on Xbox and PC. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think that'd be a really big win for like the console war that we're seeing. You'd have DC on the Microsoft side, and you'd have stuff on the Sony side. Not all Marvel, more of the Spider-Man stuff. But like, I think that could be really cool. If Microsoft were to swoop in here and take this, I think that'd be really really
but
cool.
I think they would only do it if there's IP attached. But we'll see what happens. Let's move on to the next. We got some movie. Corban and Travis first before I move. Did you guys want to speak on this? Quantum? Do you guys want to speak on this at all?
Yeah, with the pros. Y'all handle that for me.
I yield my Faberflub to QK.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Vito.
So let's talk about, there's a couple movies that the release dates have been moved. Actually, more than what's listed here. Tenet is being delayed to July 31st, which is a couple weeks later. Wonder Woman to October 2nd. Matrix 4 to 2022. Now,
wow,
a whole year, because it was supposed to come out in 2021. It's coming out a year later. Do you guys do you think that the box office is ever going to be able to recover from this period that we're having where there's been no, I mean, summer is when a lot of these box offices make their summer is a lot of where these box offices and movie theater chains make their money, and that's not happening. What do you think the future holds for the theater industry?
I mean, I imagine it's going to take a hit, obviously, with just movies being delayed and big budget films that normally would be summer blockbusters coming out more in the fall. But I think it'll right itself eventually. I mean, obviously, a lot of that's contingent on people going back to theaters in mass, like especially, you know, vaccine, everything there. But if there's some sort of return to just normal, which sounds crazy to say, but for movies, then it will right the course. That's at least my estimation. But until then, yeah, I expect a lot of rough months ahead. Maybe the rest of the year rough until, you know, you get people back in and then it sort of writes itself out. And those movies that were projected to come out in June of this year, you know, whenever they come out, they'll still get a huge number of people, whether that's just due to people coming in to the theater or just, you know, after or second or whatever viewings. But I don't know. I expect it to come back to normal, but just not for a long time.
Well, you do know that there's a high potential that some of these movie theater chains are going to go out of business. So the ability to watch these movies is going to be limited unless somebody comes in and fills that space. But
that really concerns me. That would be a bummer.
AMC is the largest theater chain in the world with over 1,100 screens or something like that. They have, it's quite a bit of screens. They're very large. And they're at risk of going into bankruptcy. I don't know if there's a movie theater chain that could swoop in and buy that chain.
No.
I mean, yeah, that'll be interesting.
You'd probably see AMC selling off their theaters to certain people. I could see Regal swooping in and buying some. And,
That would make sense.
Harkins in Arizona potentially could pick up some of the spots.
That would make sense too.
Ooh, Amazon is what Matt says.
But my fear is if a studio like Amazon or Warner Brothers or Disney or something like that buys these theaters, my fear is that they will then have control over what those theaters are putting out.
Well, there's a law in that made that. That's how movies used to be distributed. You used to have Warner Brothers Theater, and now you have production, distribution, and exhibition. Those are all three different wings of the movie theater. And the government came in and broke up that monopoly, so you can't have that. They've been talking lately about pulling that law back, but as of right now, if I'm remember my film history correctly, that you're not allowed to do that because it creates these monopolies over an industry when you control all three areas of production, distribution, and exhibition.
So Amazon would only be able to purchase if that law was lifted.
So Amazon could exhibit. I don't know. I mean, because I don't know the law. I'm sure there's ways around it and how they would own the business or things like that. But as far as like the major studios used to control their theaters. So if it wasn't like so Warner Brothers would exhibit their, like, let's say, let's take a Rebel Without a Cause. If the company that made that would put it out to their theaters and at no cost, they could display it. But if you wanted your movie that wasn't Warner Brothers to pay in the Warner Brothers theater, you had to pay Warner Brothers the right to exhibit your movie in their movie theater. So
yeah, that's awful.
Back to it.
Yeah, I would just hope that a company would come in and maybe buy those, maybe like an investment company or something that had nothing to do with either an existing theater chain or a company that has nothing to do with how movies are produced or anything like that.
Okay.
I just worry that it's muddying the waters.
Okay, but imagine if Amazon buys it. You're sitting in your seat waiting for the movie to start. You order your popcorn and a drone comes and drops it into your lap. That sounds great.
I think the risks far outweigh any benefits that would happen with that.
One of the interesting things you could see could happen with that is that all of a sudden, if the distributors are controlling the theaters, you'd have all these genre houses popping up, I think, because your theater chain would be known for going to see like action movies. And so all of a sudden you're the theater that produces action movies or horror movies like Blumhouse, right? You know, and then you have the Blumhouse theater. That's just like an homage there, but it could be kind of cool because then they would deck everything out. Like you walk in there to see a horror movie and everything is like decked out to enhance that particular genre experience. Or like a sci-fi company, it does mean certainly more traveling to go see movies. And if you don't have those places, distributors at your
that's the trouble.
Yeah,
I live fairly far out in Santan Valley, and so like the closest theater to me is about 15 minutes. And then the next closest one is about 20 minutes away from me in a different direction. So I would hate that if like I couldn't go see an action movie unless I drove 30 minutes. You know what I mean? When I already have to drive 15, I would hate that. But what do you think about
podcast hard?
It would make it harder. What do you think about this, Kyle? I know you were trying to say something earlier.
Quantum.
I'd love to hear from you. Quantum QK. What up?
Jeez Louise, he's my friend.
You hear that? Any authorities listening? It's Lance's friend. All authorities. It's Lance's friend.
This is not.
All right, Quantum, what do you think about this? Do you want Amazon to buy these movie theaters?
I think that it would be a smart move for Amazon to buy the movie because after the whole quarantine thing and the COVID-19 thing is over, you're going to get a lot of people buying tickets and getting movies. So I think it's just really smart decision.
People will want to go to the movies again, so they're going to come in droves, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think people are going to want to come to movies, but I am worried. I think Corban mentioned it. I am worried that you're going to see less people going. Like even when Tenet opens July 31st, if that date stays, I don't think you're going to have packed movie theaters. Maybe in Arizona, maybe here in Arizona, you might have packed movie theaters. But I don't think in like California you will, because it's definitely the culture surrounding COVID-19 is so different, and people are a little bit more cautious in California than they are here. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm worried about the movie industry. It's
Well, my thing is I really hope that the studios are smart and they continue to do this theater at home thing in addition to releasing the theaters, because I don't know if by July 31st if I'm going to be ready to go to the theaters. I'm going to have a newborn baby at my house. I'm not too comfortable with that. So I don't know.
Sure.
The movie industry is unforeseen right now. We don't know what's going to happen.
But I would say please delay Tenet. If it's not going to be, I'm not saying please delay Tenet. Don't release it at home, because I want to see this in theaters. Travis mentioned this last week. Tenet is meant to be seen on a big screen, and I know if they released it on digital, I just want to see the movie so bad I would rent it, but then I wouldn't get that full experience. So I don't want them to release it in theater at home.
Right now, it has a tentative release date. Am I right, Lance? Am I right, my boy? Am I right, son?
Oh, man.
All right. Last thing we're going to talk about tonight real quick. I think it's the last thing. Yes, last thing we're going to talk about. The PS5 has been revealed. It looks a lot like, Quantum's shaking his head. Yes, he's excited about this. It looks a lot like a toaster I once bought in 1992, but it released some cool trailers for some games that are coming out. So we know that the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, and there's a little confusion there. They're calling it a new game. There's some people saying no, it's an expansion. I know that Absolute Geek said that it looks like a wireless router, but Absolute Geek said that it's a standalone game. I think it's a standalone game, but it's also going to come packaged with a remaster. I think that's really what's going to happen.
They've already confirmed that it is a standalone game. So like Uncharted 4 originally was going to have a DLC, and then they didn't end up having it as a DLC. They made it a full game. I'm blanking on the name of it. But
the one with the two women?
Yeah, it was a great game, but they made it a standalone game. It was just shorter. Whereas like Uncharted 4 was a 30-hour game. This game, Lost Legacy, that's it. Uncharted Lost Legacy. It was about 8 hours maybe. That's kind of what they've even compared it to Lost Legacy, the developers.
Quantum?
No, Quantum's here. It's just with me sharing the screen. It's pushing.
Well, I'm gonna remove the banner.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be its own game. I think the freaking PS5 looks atrocious. I hate this look. If it was like white on the inside and black on the outside, I might like it a little better. I think I just don't like the white look of it as much, but I still don't like it. Just looks weird. I don't like it. People make jokes about the Xbox Series X looking like a refrigerator. I would much rather have the refrigerator in my entertainment center.
I made this point when it comes to the Xbox. At least it's still a friggin' box. You know, they're keeping the design aesthetic at least in line with this. I mean, I really hope they release an all black version. I don't want a piece of white. You know, these things are kind of like furniture. You know what I mean? It's they're in your house and your eye is drawn to them. I don't want a white thing. The black is much easier to hide and everything. I don't want this. Plus, I have children. This is going to be covered in handprints within 2 weeks.
I'm sure they'll have skins for it, though, right? Like the white part,
probably. But then you have to spend more money on that.
Yeah, I just think whoever the original thing that they had for the developer kit looked way cooler. And
maybe
I don't know why.
Some like Couch Cruncher PS5 skins, you know, look nice.
We can make decals. We can make some decals
nice.
For sure.
Yeah, it looked nice against that white.
It would. You're right.
But with this announcement, we got a couple trailers. So we got Spider-Man Miles Morales, which we talked a little bit about. We got Horizon Far West, which is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, which you liked a lot, right, Max?
Love that game. So good.
And then Deathloop, which I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, so Deathloop is it's kind of like Dishonored and BioShock, if you guys are familiar with those games at all. But the basic, I'll keep my opinions about BioShock off air because man, I get a lot of hate. I just think it's okay. I don't understand why it's hyped up as like this amazing achievement in gaming. It's not that great. But It's a cool world. Anyway, Deathloop is like this first-person game where you're playing as an assassin who's stuck in a time loop. And to get out of the time loop, you have to like kill all of these people without dying or something like that. But the thing that's fun about it is there's other assassins that are trapped in the same time loop with you and aware of the time loop, and they're trying to kill you to avoid you killing all of your targets to get out of the time loop.
So it's just Looper?
I guess. But it's just like it's a cool concept, and that's why I put it in the show notes. There were like 20-something games shown, and these were the 3 that stuck out to me, and so I just wanted to highlight them. Deathloop looks really cool. It looks like it's going to be fun.
So Corban, Travis, and Quantum, you guys play. I know Quantum does because he was nodding his head like a excited like a kid that just went to a candy store. But Corban and Travis, do you guys play video games?
I don't.
Sort of, not really. I mean, once in a while I will. It's more like a social thing. Like if one of my friends are playing video games, sure, I'll come in. Otherwise, it's more 2K and even that.
You're casual.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, The Last of Us is the last game I remember playing with some friends, and I kept dying because you had, I guess, I don't remember the creatures that like go off of sound or whatever.
Oh, the clickers.
Yeah. Dude, the clickers.
Brutal.
Like, I guess you have to sneak up on them. Yeah. And I just wanted to go in there and smash them. And it wouldn't work. And I do it again. It wouldn't work. And I do it again. And I was like, forget it. So
it literally, before you start that level, it says, don't do that.
I know. But I just felt like if I was fast enough that I could do it. I'd grab one of those pipes or pieces of wood and I would just go to town.
I'm going to beat the coding, okay?
That's exactly what I thought I'd do. And And then I like, oh, the game wants me to play a certain kind of way. And I didn't want to do it. And yeah, like I said, I'm a casual gamer. So I'm like mildly excited. I'm sure, the PS5 will be the fad. I mean, not the fad, but for casual gamers like that, I'll definitely at least look into getting one, but it's not like, it's cool. I mean, the only game I was like vaguely interested in the trailer was NBA 2K21, and all I saw was more sweat, which, I mean, there's a lot of other issues that game needs fixed in sweat, so.
Yeah, I noticed that from that trailer. I'm like, all they're showing me is that it's got more sweat, which
like,
graphically it looked cool, but.
Yeah, and 2K always looks cool, and then it's just crap because they focus on microtransactions and whatnot. And like the Miles Morales Spider-Man, I'm very much excited for. So I will say that, but I want to learn more details first. So
I'm excited for Miles Morales, but if it's only like a 5 to 8 hour story, I don't know if it's enough to get me to buy it.
Then you can miss me with it. Yeah, that's like a day. Buy the game, play it overnight, be done by 9.
Yeah. So I have issue with games like Madden and 2K because it seems like they release a game every year, charge you $60 for it, and it's almost identical to the game that previous, when they could just deliver a patch for the game you bought last year to make it do all this new stuff. Mm-hmm. So I've always had an issue with buying that game every year that it comes out.
I buy Madden every like 4 or 5 years. I'll get it every 4 or 5 years.
I buy it more frequently than that. But
last one I bought was 2015, actually.
So Travis, you're not planning on buying either an Xbox or a PlayStation?
No, I haven't bought a new gaming system since 64. Not the year, not 1964, but since 64 came out.
I mean, it might as well be the same thing, Travis. It might as well be the same thing.
I mean, I've sat in people's living rooms and they put the sticks in my hand. I'm like, I don't know. It's too complicated now. Where all these buttons come from? There's everywhere you push, there's a button. I don't understand, or triggers, and then things have to load up, and I don't have time for that.
Travis is like an old man over here. Back in my day, all we had to hit was the up button and A and B.
If I want to entertain myself, I'll go watch a marathon of Look Who's Talking, starring John Travolta.
Okay, well, I really want to hear from QK over here.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. I want to hear from. Quantum Kyle is 15 years old, so I think he has a different perspective than what we do. Quantum, what system are you going after?
PlayStation, 100%.
Even though the Xbox has better hardware.
Yeah, I just like PlayStation. I'm more comfortable with it. Xbox, I just don't really like Xbox that much. But the PS5 looks way better than Xbox One X. I mean, Xbox One X looks like a fridge, like a mini fridge. They got PS5, which looks really cool. I am
shocked. I think the PS5 is ugly. It's the one I plan on buying. I plan on buying a PS5.
Most people disagree with us, Lance. Most people like
Kyle's with it, and you're old, so that's why.
Yeah,
it's true.
I'm excited for. I'm excited for Miles Morales, but I'm mainly excited for Resident Evil 8.
Is it Resident Evil 8? Did they confirm that?
Yeah. It was
Okay,
in
cool.
trailer.
Well, because they said Resident Evil, like Village Resident Evil. I didn't know if it was the 8th one or not, or if it was like an offshoot kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's cool though. Yeah, there's definitely some good games coming out. I am conflicted. I'm an Xbox guy, have been since the original Halo in like 2001, but I acknowledge that PlayStation has better games. Like at this point, the games are better. But I like playing on Xbox. The controller is better. Most of my friends that are there, that's where most of my games are. I like that any game I own right now, I will be able to play on my Series X immediately. I really like that. Problem is, they're not going to do, Xbox isn't going to do a game that can only be played on the Series X for like 2 years. So it makes me just want to get a PS5 when it comes out so I can play these games that are only going to be on PS5. And I do worry that Microsoft is making a mistake by not having like Halo Infinite, for instance, be only playable on the Series X.
Yeah,
Which,
Dude, a new Oddworld is coming out. Do you guys remember Oddworld?
yeah, that's coming out. I don't really play those.
That's a badass game, dude, from the original.
I'm talking about Halo, and he's like, dude, Oddworld. ADHD over here. Come on.
Halo come out right? Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know that. I get home.
Did the new Halo come out yet? Or
No, it comes out later this year. It comes out when the Series X does. It comes out on the same day, but you're going to be able to play it on the Xbox One, which is cool. It is cool.
Ooh, and Hitman 3.
Yeah, Hitman 3. There's a bunch of games. There's a bunch.
Well,
Cool.
I think that brings us to the end of our show. We had excellent discussion. I appreciate Quantum, Corban, and Travis for coming on. Quantum's been asking for some time, so it's a real pleasure to have you on, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Travis can be found on the Comic Exposure podcast. If you wherever podcasts can be listened to. Travis, what was your last episode about?
Drop today. We go back in time. We're doing a marvelous summer reading series. We're reading some classic Marvel books, and we did the Roy Thomas's Kree Skrull War from 1971, I believe, was that. So some old school comic booking.
So it dropped today?
Yep.
Awesome. And Corban had an episode of Absolute Geek last night. You know Corban very well. Actually, you know Travis very well too. But Corban had an episode of Absolute Geek last night. I was rolling on the floor at points, laughing at these knuckleheads. I just love your guys' show, and it's
Same, man, right back at you. Thank you.
But Corban was nice enough to give us a little time tonight. I know he wanted to be on earlier, but go check out the Absolute Geek podcast on YouTube. Wherever podcast player you listen to, on Facebook. They're great guys. They deserve a listen. And Quantum, who will be starting his own podcast very soon. And as soon as he has a name, he is going to tell us, because I'm sure he'll probably need
post on my current YouTube channel when we get around to make it.
So if you need any help getting that live, buddy, you just let Max and I know, and we'll help you out. Okay.
Cool.
And then we love all three of you. We love everybody that tuned in tonight. Go check us Couch Crunchers out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever the next social media thing is, we'll be there. And until next time, keep on geeking on, my friends.